Good morning, students. Yet again, a video on dissolution. This video is about Workman Compensation Fund. Now, what is Workman Compensation Fund? Workman Compensation Fund or Workman Compensation Reserve is a reserve which is created for overcoming the workman compensation claims, or rather for overcoming any accident or any untoward incident happens on the workers. To overcome that, a special fund is created, and that fund is named as Workman Compensation Reserve or Fund. If the claim is not there, then this fund becomes a free reserve and will be distributed among the partners in their profit sharing ratio. If any amount is needed from this fund for the claims, it will be transferred to the claim. For example, Workman Compensation Fund is 10,000 and a claim for the workers have arisen of rupees, suppose 6,000. So out of that 10,000, 6,000 will be set aside for workman compensation claim and 4,000 will be distributed just like any other free reserve to the partners in their profit sharing ratio. And this workman compensation claim will be treated as a liability, simple liability. Okay, let's understand how these statements in dissolution. In dissolution, how we will treat this workman compensation reserve and workman compensation claim if arisen, etc. But before that, I have to discuss with you some important adjustments or some important journals even. This one, if liability, whether recorded or unrecorded, is paid through asset, whether recorded or unrecorded, then there is no entry. For example, if I say a creditor of rupees 2,000 is paid through an unrecorded asset, no entry needs to be passed. Actually, entry is coming what? Creditor account debit to asset. But for creditor, we are using the word realization. And for asset also, we are using the word realization. So realization to realization, no entry. We cannot write A account debit to A account. We cannot write cash account debit to cash account. We cannot write realization account debit to realization. So whether the asset is recorded or unrecorded, whether the liability is recorded or unrecorded, if we make a payment in a barter system type, that is one liability taken on asset given, then we will not record, we will not make any journal entry for that in dissolution. Cash realized of recorded or unrecorded assets. Whether cash asset is recorded or unrecorded, we know if cash realized, cash to realization, whether recorded as well as unrecorded. For payment of liabilities, if mentioned, then realization to cash, because liability to cash. We don't write liability, whether recorded or unrecorded over here also. Next. Asset recorded or unrecorded taken over by partners, then instead of cash, we will use capital account. Capital account of the partner to realization account, means to asset. Similarly, if the liability is being paid by the partner, then liability account to capital, but we don't write liability, we write realization account to capital. Okay, now come to dissolution again, that workman compensation reserve again. So the thing it is given over here, it is an amount of reserve set aside out of profits to meet the liability towards workman compensation, if any. Workman compensation reserve is also sometimes referred to as workman compensation fund. At the time of dissolution, its treatment is as follows. How is the treatment? Let's see. First of all, when liability for workman compensation does not exist, that means there is no liability for workman compensation. No liability, only workman compensation is there, a fund is there. The amount of workman compensation reserve, that is WCR, is credited to partners' capital account in their PSR. If no information is given, it is assumed that liability for workman compensation does not exist, and thus the amount is to be distributed among the partners in their profit sharing ratio. If no information, then also the same treatment we will do. That means the journal entry will be WCR to A to B to C, the partners capital account, old partners, existing partners capital account in their profit sharing ratio. Now next, when liability for workman compensation exists, in this situation, treatment of workman compensation reserve depends on the amount of liability. There are two possibilities. Now let me tell you. Now workman compensation WCR is there in the liability side, and one more liability has occurred. Now this liability, that is workman compensation claim, is not given in the book. It is given in the adjustment. That is, liability is less than workman compensation reserve, or if liability is equal to or more than workman compensation reserve. Two situations: whether liability is less than workman compensation reserve or liability is equal to or more than workman compensation reserve. Let's understand. If liability is less than workman compensation reserve, that means our workman compensation reserve is little higher than the compensation. Workman compensation reserve to the extent of liability is transferred to the credit side of realization account, and the balance of workman compensation reserve is credited to partners capital account in their profit sharing ratio. That means free reserve, again the same concept. The amount of liability is paid in full and is shown in the debit side of the realization account as we pay to cash WCC, workman compensation claim paid. So let me illustrate this with an example. Suppose my WCR is 10,000 and WCC, the claim is given in the adjustment, is 8,000. So my first journal entry is actually coming as WCR to WCC. We don't write WCR and WCC in dissolution. This we used to do in admission and retirement. But over here, we will just write in our credit side, that is in the credit side of the realization account, we will write by WCR 8,000 and to WCC, we will write by WCC 8,000 and we will write by WCR 8,000. Sorry, students. We will write by WCR 8,000 and we will write to bank under that workman compensation claim paid 8,000. We have to assume we have paid it. 2,000 is the free reserve which will be distributed among the existing partners in their profit sharing ratio. I'll tell you one very important hint regarding this, and that is that we will treat workman compensation claim as an unrecorded liability which has not been recorded in the books. Then the sums becomes very easy. We don't have to close WCC in this case. As it is not given in the balance sheet, we have to treat it as unrecorded liability. So when unrecorded liability you have got, whether mentioned or not, you have to pay it. When we pay the liability, what do we write? To cash dash WCC and we make the payment. So this is the first case. Now if the liability is equal to or more than workman compensation reserve, then what will happen? The balance of workman compensation reserve is transferred to the credit side of realization account. The amount of liability is paid in full and is shown in the debit side of the realization account. That means if suppose WCC is 10,000 given in the adjustment, we will write to bank WCC 10,000 and by WCR, the whole amount of WCR. If it is less than 10,000 or more than or equal to 10,000, we just write in the realization by WCR 10,000 or 8,000 or 6,000, whatever lesser than or equal to WCC. There is no free reserve, so we will not distribute among the partners. This is the only thing which you have to remember, students, that WCR will be closed to the maximum extent up to what the claim is. If there is extra WCR, that will be distributed among the partners. To understand this all, we have sums. Let's do different cases and different sums. We will understand everything. A and B are partners sharing profits in ratio 2:1. As the hint is given over here, see hint, treat WCC as an unrecorded liability. WCF in balance sheet is 12,000, no other information. So we will directly distribute this among the partners. Journal entry will be WCF to A to B to A to B in the ratio 2:1. That is 8,000, 4,000. Let's see. See WCF to A to B, 8,000, 4,000. We can easily do the ledger entry also. In the capital account, we will write by WCF. 8,000 in A's column, 4,000 in B's column. Next, WCF in balance sheet is 12,000 and claim is only 3,000. So you write 3,000 only in the realization. WCF 3,000 in the realization credit side by WCC in the realization. That means my journal entry will be WCF 3,000 to realization 3,000. Then again realization to bank dash WCC, realization to bank 3,000, 3,000. This much is done. Now still we have 9,000 free reserve that will be given to the partner in the ratio 2:1 with 6,000, 3,000 to A and B, WCF to A to B. See this one, the journal entry, we have made a compound journal entry 12,000, to A to B 6,000, 3,000 and to realization 3,000. We are closing only 3,000 in the realization. As I told you, how much is the WCC? That much only will be closed in realization of WCF. And see, realization to cash or bank we can write. That is WCC's value is written over here. Treat WCC as unrecorded asset. We don't have to close WCC. We have to just write to bank for the payment part. Next is the third part. WCF in the balance sheet is 12,000. WCC is also 12,000. Very simple. In the realization account, we will write by WCC. In the realization account, to bank. That means two entries again. WCC account debit to realization and realization to bank. In case 3, WCF to realization, WCF there, not WCC, sorry. WCF to realization 12,000 and then realization to cash 12,000. Very simple. Next, number 4, WCF in the balance sheet is 12,000, WCC is 18,000. Now here, our WCF is lesser than WCC. So entire amount of WCF will be closed in realization. To close WCF, we will write WCF to realization 12,000 over. Now it's an unrecorded liability WCC. We will record it just like to bank or to cash in realization. Realization to cash 18,000. That's all. There is no difference to be found out. See, WCF to realization, the closing of WCF, and realization to cash, the payment. Let's see the number 5th one. WCC is rupees 9,000 given in adjustment. Obviously, it is given in adjustment. All the time it is given in adjustment. And there is no WCF. There is no fund. Only WCC 9,000. It will only be one journal entry. That is, we have to make the payment. Realization to bank 9,000 in case 5. Realization to bank. See, realization to cash or bank 9,000. We can write bank also. Actually, we should write bank only instead of cash. Okay. Next, WCC 9,000 not appearing in the balance sheet. No WCF. It's the same treatment. No WCF. WCC is also not appearing in the balance sheet. Means same treatment as 6. WCC is not appearing in the balance sheet. There is no WCF. Again, not appearing in the balance sheet. So we have to make the payment. So we will write to bank. Again, for number 6 also same as number 5. See, number 6 and 5 same. Realization to cash 9,000. Number 7, WCC is 9,000 appearing in the balance sheet and no WCF. No balance, no WCF, no fund. But WCC claim has not been in the adjustment now. It is there in the balance sheet. So we will treat as a recorded liability. So to first close the liability. To close the liability, we have to write in the realization by WCC. Workman compensation claim 9,000. Whether mentioned or not, we have to pay the claim. So again, to bank in the realization to bank 9,000. So 2 entries for number 7. WCC to realization to close the claim, to close the liability, and then realization to bank to make the payment of the liability. Now we will see number 8. WCC paid rupees 9,000 appearing in the balance sheet. WCC 8,000. You have made a payment of 9,000 to the workman compensation claims, but in the balance sheet only appearing is 8,000. So first of all, you close the claim, close this claim of 8,000. So to close the claim, we will write by WCC in the realization. That means WCC to realization 8,000, and then we make a payment of 9,000. So realization to bank. If we are making the payment of 7,000 students, then also it will be this entry only will change. If we make a payment of 1000, then also only this entry will change. This one, number 8, we are just closing WCC to realization. The claim part is closed, realization to bank. Now see students, we have recorded the realization account even by WCF in the first case. First case, we have distributed the WCF among the partners 8,000, 4,000. Second case, 3,000 transferred to realization because 3,000 was the claim only, and the remaining amount is transferred to the capital account. In the third case, it was WCF 12,000 because the entire claim was also 12,000. Nothing went into the capital account. Then in the fourth case, WCF was 12,000 and the claim was 18,000. So nothing recorded in the capital account. In the fifth case, there is no WCF. So only two bank unrecorded liability. In the sixth case, also the same thing. It's not recorded in the balance sheet and given in the adjustment. So unrecorded liability, we are making the payment. In the seventh case, WCC is 9,000 and the payment also, the claim is also 9,000 we have to make because WCC was given in the balance sheet. It's a recorded liability. So we have made the payment. In the eighth case, WCC was 8,000 and we made a payment of 9,000. This only I was telling, if we are making the payment of 7,000 instead of 9, we will record 7,000. If we are making the payment of 1,000, then we will make the payment of 1,000. Whatever makes the payment. If recorded, that only we have to write. If nothing is mentioned, then entire thing is paid. If nothing is mentioned, we have to record 8,000 only. Now, this many are the sums. Now, students, I'll give you a homework which you need to do. Say in this homework, I have given you one extra type of entry. WCC is 5,000 appearing in the balance sheet. WCF is 10,000 appearing in the balance sheet. Both WCC and WCF both are appearing in the balance sheet. You will simply just close WCC as a recorded liability and then make the payment. And in WCF, you will record it as a free reserve because it is given in the liability, means WCF part of WCC is already over, given in the balance sheet. That means treat it as free reserve and distribute among the partners in their PSR. Thank you, students. Please do the sum and send it to me. Thank you, students.